Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to convert a Word document into a Blackboard test. Now there are some specific rules you'll have to follow when creating the document. I'm going to go over those rules with you now. Okay, so first of all, there's only certain question types you're going to be able to use if you're going to type your test in a Word document. So you can only use multiple choice, multiple answer, true or false, essay question, fill in the blank, and matching. Secondly, you're going to have to number your questions with a 1 and a period followed by a space and then the question, or a 1 and a closed parentheses followed by a space and then the question. Do not use the auto numbering feature when typing up your test. That's just not going to work very well for some of the next things we're going to have to do to the test. When you want to list your answers, you want to use a letter followed by a period and then a space, or a letter and followed by a closed parentheses and a space. To indicate the correct answer of a question, you're going to put an asterisk in front of the letter of the correct answer. So it's going to look like asterisk A period or asterisk A closed parentheses. You will not be able to do this if you have auto numbering turned on. Now, if you've already created a test and you used auto numbering when you did it, I'll show you later on how you can get around that problem. So you don't have to worry too much about not being able to put those asterisks in right now. You have to leave a space between each question, exactly 1 space. So here's an example here where I've asked my first question. I then entered a space, and then I typed my second question. All right. Here's just some examples of how you want to type up each question type. So for a multiple choice question, you're just going to type out the question, list all the possible answers you want to give students, and then put an asterisk in front of the correct answer. Multiple answer question, you're just going to type out the question, list all the answers, and this time you're going to put an answer next to the 2 or however many correct answers there are for the question. For a true or false question, you're just going to write out the question, so 3 period, and then my question, and then I'm just going to write down either true or false in the next line below it. For an essay question, I'm just going to write out the question. I don't need to provide any answer for an essay question. Unfortunately, Blackboard will not be able to grade your essay questions for you. If you want to do a fill in the blank question, you're going to start by writing the word blank and then the number 5 period or whatever number the question is, and then you're just going to ask the question, put in your blank space, however you want to leave the blank, and then you are going to list all possible answers. So for example, on this question, they can either type out Thursday, or I will also give them credit if they forget to capitalize the T in Thursday. For matching questions, you're just going to type out the word match followed by the question number, and then you're going to give them the directions. For example, match the holiday with the correct month. Then I'm going to make my matching list here. So I'm going to go A period, and I'm going to match each one. So I'm going to do Christmas / December, B Thanksgiving / November, C Independence Day / July. Okay, once you have your test questions all typed up, it's going to look something similar to this document I have here, which is just a sample test I created. What you want to do is you're going to highlight and copy all of that. And then I'm just going to right click and choose copy. And then you're going to go to a special website that has a Blackboard test generator on it. I included the link to this website in the PDF document that goes along with this video, so you can get to that website from that document. But we're just going to go here, we're going to click in this white area here, right click and paste that document in. Then I'm just going to go up here and give it a name, and I'm just going to call it SWIC Sample Test. And then I'm going to go down here where it says Generate Test Questions. And click there. Now, as long as everything turns out green, that means the test was correct. But if there was a mistake, let's see if I clear this, paste it back in. Let's say I forgot to put an answer for this question. I can remove it. If I go Generate Test Questions, it will mark anything that it doesn't recognize as with red. If you hover over that, it'll tell you what the problem is, and then you can just fix that question. If you use auto numbering for your test, you can just cut and paste it into here and then put all your asterisks in for your correct answers after you've pasted it in here. So you don't have to completely redo it in Word. All right. So I'm just going to click Generate Test Questions again. It's going to generate my questions correctly. So everything looks correct. I'm going to go down here where it says Download Test Questions and click on that button there. That will download a text file to my computer. It usually goes in your Downloads folder that I can then upload to Blackboard. Alright, now that I have that text file that I can use to upload to Blackboard, I'm going to log into Blackboard, go to the course where I want to upload the test to. I'm going to go to my content area where I want to upload the test, so I'm going to just do it in Course Content. So I'm going to click on that. I'm then going to click on the Assessments tab and choose Test. And then from there, I'm going to have to create a new test. So I'm just going to click Create. It's going to have me enter a name for the test. I'm just going to call it Swick Sample. Oops. Sample Test 3. Since I've already used a couple of those. You can include a description if you like. You can add instructions for your students if you like. But the only thing you have to put in here is the Swick Sample Test 3. Then I'm going to click Submit. And then it's going to take me to this test canvas. From here, I'm going to locate the Upload Questions button. I'm going to click on Upload Questions. I'm going to click Browse here. I'm going to find in my Downloads folder, usually, or wherever I have that file saved. So here I have this Swick Sample test I created. I'm going to click Open to attach that test. And then I can change the points per question. So by default, it's going to be worth 10 points. If you want it to be worth less, you can change that here. I'm just going to enter a 1. And then I'm going to click Submit. Alright, so that will add all the questions I had on there into my test here. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom and click OK. And then here's my test. It's going to take me back to this Create Test menu. I'm going to click where it says Swick Sample Test 3 and click Submit. That will then take me to my test options menu. So here's where I can set up all my availability, my time limits, and everything else for the test. So down here, I'm just going to go through and work my way through this menu. So test availability. So I want to switch that to yes, so it's available to the students. If you want, you can create an announcement for this test. So this automatically add an announcement to my course, let my students know the test is available. If you're not going to have the test available right away, you'll probably want to leave that as no. If you want to allow multiple attempts, you can put in a little checkbox here and tell them how many attempts they get on the test. If you choose that option, you will have to change this to what you want to do. Do you want the last graded, highest graded, lowest graded, first graded, or an average? So I'm just going to leave it as the last graded. Actually, I'll change that to highest. There's an option here for forced completion. I would strongly encourage you never to use that. If the student starts the test and for any reason they lose connection, even for a split second, it'll submit for them and they can't get back into the test. What I would do instead, if you want to make sure the students only have so much time to work on the test, is use this timer here. So I'm just going to click Set Timer. I can put in however many minutes I want the test to be. So I'll just say it's going to be for 30 minutes. And then I can turn this auto submit on. What that will do is after 30 minutes have passed, the test is just going to submit whether the student's still logged into Blackboard or they're still taking the test or not. They just have 30 minutes to take the test. So if they started at 12 o'clock, at 12:30 the test is going to submit whether they're logged into it or not. Display after and display until. This is how you can control when students have access to the test. So if you want to say, let's say I want to make this test available next week. Let's say I want to make it available starting on the 30th. I can go and then to midnight there and set it to there. And let's say I'm only going to give them a couple of days to complete it. Let's say we're going to go to the 2nd and we'll give them to the end of the day, which in Blackboard is 11:59 p.m. All right. You shouldn't need to include a password for them. You do not want to restrict their location. If you want to add availability exceptions for students, you can go down here and add a user or group. So let's see, I can just do this group. So for example, if I have a student, I could add that specific student, give them 45 minutes to take the test instead of 30 minutes. I can also put a due date here, so whenever this test is due. So I think I said it was going to be due on the 2nd. So we'll make it due on the 2nd here as well. That way the test itself will show up under things that they need to get done. I want to make sure it says this test will be included in the grade center score calculations. So that's my self-assessment options there. And then I can show test results and feedback to students. So what I would do is right after submission, I'd leave everything unchecked. That way all they'll see is their score. And then you can go down here and say after the availability end date, you can then let them go back in and see everything that was submitted for the test and just select all those. That way they'll get to see the whole test and see how they did. Your test presentation, I would do all at once. If you try to do one at a time, it just takes a longer time for the test questions to load each time. If you want to, you can have it randomize the questions, so the questions on the test show up in a random order. Okay, when you have all those settings set up the way you'd like them set up, you can just click Submit. And if you scroll down to the very end of your content area, you'll see that that test has been added to your course. Right now, the test isn't available because I set it to be available after March 30th. So if a student was to log in, they wouldn't be able to see the test until March 30th. But they would just click on the test title here to access the test and click Begin to start the test. All right, I hope that has answered all your questions about how you can upload your test as a Word document into Blackboard. If you have any further questions about this, please feel free to contact me. Thank you. Bye.